Salutations everybody, it is Matty here today with the Battlefront 2 news update. It appears that EA is still out of touch with their stance on microtransactions. The following information is coming from an article by Polygon, which I will have linked in the description down below. It is titled Star Wars Battlefront 2 Sales Missed Targets, EA Blames Loot Crate Controversy Update. We're going to focus on the sales targets first. EA sold about 9 million copies of Battlefront 2 during the 3-month period from October to December 2017, the third quarter of EA's 2018 fiscal year, according to the Wall Street Journal. The game launched almost exactly halfway through the quarter on November 17th. That was about 1 million fewer than the 10 million copies that EA had expected to sell, the newspaper reports. Okay, I just need to laugh for a second. I know Star Wars is arguably the largest entertainment brand out there, but I just think the idea that 9 million sales isn't enough for anybody is crazy. Now, I know Battlefront 2 was the third highest budgeted title in video games, so obviously 9 million probably isn't enough, but there are so many developers out there who would kill for a million and a half, probably 500,000, and then we got EA here who's like, yeah, we missed our target with 9 million. And this isn't just EA, mind you, this is more so a balance of investment and also basing it off what brand they are building for. Blake Jorgensen, the company's chief financial officer, told the Wall Street Journal that the publisher's guidance calls for sales of another 1 to 3 million copies by the fiscal year's conclusion at the end of March. The higher end of that estimate would still put Battlefront 2 behind its predecessor. EA shipped more than 14 million units of the original Star Wars Battlefront 2 in its 2016 fiscal year. That probably explains why EA is planning a big overhaul for Star Wars that is to be announced within the next month. So Battlefront 2, in EA's point of view, is underperforming. Why exactly is that? Well, in the update on Polygon's article, they say in an investor call this afternoon, EA CEO Andrew Wilson denied that the kerfuffle surrounding Star Wars Battlefront 2 and its microtransactions had soured the relationship between the publisher and Disney, from which EA licenses the rights to make Star Wars video games. You shouldn't believe everything you read in the press, says Wilson. We have a tremendous relationship with Disney, and we have built some amazing games together, and we have been very proactive with that relation in the service of our players. Wilson added that he expects no trouble with Disney whenever EA decides to add microtransactions back into Battlefront 2, saying we're at a point where when we make the decision that we have the right model for our players in our community, I have no doubt that we will get the support of Disney on that. So like the title of the article states, like EA has said in this interview, the reason that Battlefront 2 missed sales targets is because of microtransactions. So what is EA's out of touch logic in response to this? Add microtransactions still. What the fuck? This shit broke, mate. Oh, well, there's another note. Finally, some good news. At least they're listening to consumers, right? Wait, but if the unbreakable eggs were the problem in the first place, then... Now, once again, we have to cycle around back to one fact I brought up earlier. Star Wars Battlefront 2 is one of the highest budgeted video games ever, and microtransactions in gaming often make more money than the sales themselves of that $60 product if they are being bought frequently enough, because you can turn a sale that was $60 from one consumer into $120. And I know we might sit here and go, I'd never do that, but there are a lot more gamers out there who would actually consider doing something like that. Because I don't say this in an elitist fashion, so don't get me wrong here, but there are a lot more gamers out there that just say, Star Wars? Okay, cool, I'm picking it up. And that's their game for a while. And if they want to buy the microtransactions, they will. They're not invested in the discussion that we have here on YouTube, on the forums and stuff. And none of this is in defense of EA. I just want us to take a realistic look at the situation here. If you're EA and your game is underperforming, in their perspective, of course, what do? You have to add a way to earn more currency for your company to make sure that you balance out the investment in your product. Obviously, the answer to that is microtransactions. What I don't like about this more than anything, though, is it's EA's refusal to learn a lesson. Move on from this loot crate controversy. Be a part of the solution. Why must you insist that these have to be added into the game when they were clearly the game's downfall? What if you kept supporting the game with free content and then after all of that, you added some microtransactions. At least give players reasons to come back to support the game, where we see a couple of expansions and go, okay, they've invested, I have no problem investing back. If EA decided to take a more consumer-friendly approach to this, yes, they may take a small loss on Battlefront 2, but in the end, you can gain so much. A turnaround for EA, a glimmer of hope for Star Wars games in the future, and other multiplayer titles that EA is publishing. But all I'm seeing here is them being rooted in their ways and incredibly out of touch with what the real model is that players want, which is none. Anyway, that'll do it for me, folks. I'd love to hear your thoughts on this unsurprising but yet somehow still kind of surprising bit of news in the comments down below, so fire away. Other than that, follow me on Twitter, like me on Facebook. Those links are in the description down below, along with my Patreon. Do consider supporting that, as it fuels all the content we create here. Stay sexy, stay active. I love you all. Peace.